President Trump made the statement that Will and I have actually been saying for the last couple of days that none of you wanted to hear. But President Trump, they asked him, well, what do you think about all of the information that Tulsi Gabbard has released, the new strike force, but then specifically asked, do you think President Obama will receive presidential immunity? Which we said, of course, we think he will. Why? Because that's what the case that we argued about and the Trump administration won. That was the decision, and it affects not just President Trump. And again, it's why you always got to think ahead. I'm not saying, by the way, it's wrong. I think it was the right decision. We always got to think ahead because it's not just going to affect you. It's not going to just affect your side of the political aisle. It's going to affect both. So let's hear from President Trump. This is on Tarmac.
How do you think that the Supreme Court's ruling that benefited you on presidential immunity would apply to former President Barack Obama and what you're accusing him of doing?
It probably helped him a lot. The immunity ruling. But it doesn't help the people around him at all. But it probably helped him a lot. Well, he's done criminal acts. There's no question about it. But he has immunity, and it probably helped him a lot. He owes me big. Obama owes me big.
And that's what I think when you actually hear it coming from President Trump, he knows what's going to happen. A lot of you have asked, will anything happen to President Obama? And we have said pretty clearly that it would be pretty hard to get to President Obama. Now, it doesn't mean everyone around him has that same immunity. Of course, it means they don't. And by the way, I think that's the right decision. I don't think that now this changes the way the Supreme Court should or shouldn't have ruled. But maybe you feel differently. I want to go to a call about it. Let's go to Michelle in Virginia on line 1. Michelle, go ahead.
With regard to the presidential immunity, is there any difference between automatic and presumptive? I've been hearing things about it. And if so, could that help the case against Obama?
So it's actually presumptive and absolute. Now, the difference there would be that presumptive means that theoretically there could be some sort of thing if it was not within the official duties of the presidency. However, that there's still the presumption there. So that's where they start. And that also gives a lot of cover for it as well. Whereas absolute instead of automatic would be just no matter what, while you're in the office of the presidency, you have immunity. You cannot be charged for anything. Now, obviously, the Supreme Court did not go that far. If a president of the United States were to decide to go rob a bank, I don't think there's any, not a likely scenario. It's a hypothetical, but I don't think that there would be, there's not a claim that you can find there to say like, yeah, he was robbing the bank because it's a part of the official duties of the president.
This is, you got to meet, you got to discuss, you had to have plans.
Right, exactly. So that's where the presumption is that we're starting with the baseline that you're doing things within your official capacity, and then there's presumptive immunity. But there could theoretically, robbing a bank as a president of the United States, you're probably not going to get an immunity sort of defense coming out of that.
If anyone wants to test it, future or former presidents.
Yeah, well, former wouldn't work right now. They would have to have done it while they were in office.
Sorry, Obama and President Biden. But regardless of what that Hunter interview was, you can't go rob a bank right now.
To that point, Michelle, though, where it does get interesting, and what I'm seeing a lot of comments here saying is that what the Supreme Court ruled was that it was official acts you cannot be prosecuted for. I mean, you even think of some of the extrajudicial killings that President Obama did with drone strikes on American citizens that weren't even thought to be terrorists. That's a thing that happened. That does seem to violate the law in the Constitution, but that is something that he would be covered under because of national security, using the military. Those are things that are official acts, even if the act itself may seem like it violates the law. That's where it went in favor of President Trump. They were trying to get him on things like calling the different states, sending the electors, trying to get an alternate slate of electors, things that were viewed as trying to subvert the law of the country, and they were trying to go after him for all that.
And as we've said, if you set an example, that is how things are going to roll. Look, it's not unlike impeachment. We said if you start making impeachment willy-nilly, you start making it flippant, then it's going to start happening again. It's going to happen on the other side. And look, how many times have we already seen a threaten or a file for impeachment? We've seen it now with President Trump, but also we saw it with President Biden. How many times?
Right.
Over and over and over. And of course, it doesn't materialize because now you've just made it a part of this political lexicon that means nothing.
Well, and I mean, I almost expect a member of the Democrat caucus in the House now to come forward and be like, we're going to impeach President Trump. Why? He said Obama owes me big. That's clearly got to be corruption.
Why? Because
some sort of blackmail scheme that he's trying to perpetrate on a former president. So he owes me big. Impeachment. Straight to impeachment.
And why is it? It's because people don't know my name, and I need people to know my name.
Yeah, typically, that's the one.
I need people to know my name so then not only can I win re-election, but then, like, if I don't, I can get a job somewhere.
Right.
Because they're like, hey.
He's the guy who tried to impeach him.
He's the guy who tried to impeach him. Good for him. All right. Let's go ahead and take another call. Martin's got a good look on this. Martin, go ahead. North Carolina.
Donald Trump, I like what he said because he's looking at things in reality about immunity if it is for official act. But the one thing that President Obama cannot escape is the reality of what he did with real evidence, not evidence that was made up or contrived to try, like they did for Donald Trump. He can't escape that.
Well, and Martin, I think to your point as well, is that President Trump also said it doesn't cover all the other people that went forward with this.
Just him.
And one, if you think back historically, what the fallout for President Nixon after the scandal of Watergate, right? He is largely looked at as a president that isn't looked kindly upon in history. And he never went to prison, never did anything for Watergate.
Ended a war.
Right. I mean, he had great things in his legacy.
If Watergate happened now, it would be a blip on the radar.
They would laugh it off. I mean, because we're also looking at something that was much worse than Watergate, literally trying to subvert the incoming president with manufactured evidence. And so if history serves us well, what should happen is that with all this coming out, President Obama's legacy should be just completely eviscerated. And everything that people look to him for should be gone. And hopefully that there will be prosecutions of those people around him if they are found to be guilty of crimes that are being alleged here. But I do think that I like seeing President Trump saying basically what we've been saying all week is that, hey, we have to be realistic here.
We're armed in reality.
We're going to tell you the truth about what happened, but that doesn't mean he's going to prison for it. And I think that he is very clear-eyed about it.
And look, I think Tulsi Gabbard went out there and made her statements, knowing this as well, by the way, that let's give everyone the facts, even if the facts don't change and don't make President Obama seek prison time. Okay? One, I don't think it's good for the country. I didn't think it was good for the country for President Trump. I don't think it's good for the country for President Obama or anybody. President Obama, you know what it means. Look what happened to President Trump. You arrest him, you do all those things, and he wins in a landslide. You know what happened if you did something like this to President Obama? And I know you're not going to like when I say this. One of the most beloved presidents of the United States in our lifetime. Okay, you would have probably the most catastrophic loss from a Republican in office because you would have such an outcry, specifically if his wife was to run. Let's go ahead and take another call. Let's go to Terry, who's calling in Georgia. Terry, go ahead.
Nixon, Watergate burned him. Obama turned around, does the same thing to Trump, no consequences.
Right.
You know, every president leaves office with their salary and security. They tried to take Trump's security away from him and everything else. Why don't they do that to Obama and take security away from him and start putting some kind of consequences on him? Because, you know, there's got to be some kind of punishment for this because this is totally unacceptable. I mean, totally. And I hope I'm speaking for a lot of Americans out there. But this country needs to get straightened back around to have some common sense and some godly values.
Well, look, Terry, as we said, that doesn't mean that everybody else is off the hook here.
Right.
And of course, that's not official, by the way, that President Obama is off the hook. But when you have President Trump even saying that, he doesn't say that flippantly.
That also means the Department of Justice has briefed him and said, here's the realities of what we're looking at based off of what we've already have.
Strike force.
But they're not done. They're just now starting looking at this. But also to Terry's point about taking away the salary, while it would be nice for all of us to get in perpetuity $200,000 as a pension from being president of the United States, if you look at his Martha's Vineyard home, Barack Obama does not need that $200,000 to live as comfortably as he's living.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Seculo program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.